Another minute and we can get started. Nice puppy.
Yeah, I was going to say I have a special guest joining us today by phone. So,
Is she a member of the CNCF?
she will be when
will
she's
be.
old enough.
Yeah. All right. Today I was hoping to do maybe live edit, final go through before updating the GitHub issue we have in for the project, and then I'll create a GitHub issue to be able to present this to the tag security. I know from our last meeting, I had changed who owns the meeting, which Google account, trying to figure out how to make, if you join the Google group, that you automatically get an invite. And I'm not sure that I got that working, but in the process of doing that, the ownership got, changed from work to personal account. And last time we didn't have a transcription as a result, or a recording, because I had joined the meeting from my work account and I wasn't able to do the recording. So I was doing my normal lazy thing where I don't take notes because I can go back and look at the transcription. I couldn't do that. And Jen, you had made some suggestions last time as to what changes should be made in the deliverables and scope section. I believe you said something about adding the Miro diagram link in here, if I remember correctly, and maybe one other thing. Am I forgetting anything?
Yeah, I'm trying to remember what I said, and I think I do. One, I think, was adding the Miro diagram. Another was possibly adding some specific events that we wanted to cover. Or I think I was asking, like, are we covering the entirety of OSCAL with all of the layers in the scope?
Yeah, I think I'd said yes, all, and then should I say see existing Miro diagram for examples of exchange exchange events, something along those lines. What do you think?
Yeah, like points of exchange. I was kind of thinking. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Let's see. So get the right link, because there's enough wrong link floating around for a Miro diagram. And then so deliverables, artifacts, specification. See. What did you call them? Exchange points?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And that's it. It's perfect now.
Something I'm wondering is, so we have the cloud events definition here, but is there any sort of workflow where we would need like to adopt a request and response architecture kind of similar to the existing OSCAL REST API? I was kind of wondering that, are we only targeting kind of asynchronous workflows here?
Should I put, so we've got deliverables, scope, and what if I put another little section in here for possible scope expansion? And we say, some wording as like, as we dive deeper, there's a possibility we see the need for scope expansion. One of those areas that we're unsure about would be what you just said. That way we don't have to be positive.
Another idea I wanted to just ask about, or maybe present, is should we make the use of cloud events more of an implementation detail and then lead with a more generic, we want to define OSCAL fragments and we want to define an API, but then as we dive deeper, we might find out like what type of API? Or kind of was the intention like cloud events was the kind of very central, maybe?
Well, I feel like it's not that different than saying a different diagram tool than Miro. Just say a diagram. Maybe that's not a bad idea right there. Um, um, ooh. Do I say API specification? Or
Yeah, that's what I'm perfect.
Or
Yeah,
exchange?
like API exchange specification, maybe putting all those words together just so they know what we're trying to do with the API.
Oops.
The word is escaping me right now. I'm trying.
Calls,
Yeah.
interfaces, endpoints, exchanges. No, there's exchange already there. This includes. Oh, I don't need to do that. I think I just say specifically.
Yeah.
Oof. Uh,
Specification or definition? Oh, I didn't know if you were looking for a word for after that.
no, but that's helpful. Documentation should provide specific guidance on how OSCAL fragments are incorporated. Incorporated into the workflow and the
Do you think instead of saying API specification that supports their usage, it might be like events, not like the proper cloud events, but just events or activities that support their usage? I didn't know if that kind of made more sense in the sentence.
the documentation should provide specific guidance on how OSCAL fragments are incorporated into the workflow. Well, is that what you're saying? And then
Yeah, and the event or activities that supports their usage.
yeah,
Just rereading. Yeah, this makes sense to me so far.
I have a question about what is meant by OSCAL fragments. Are you limiting yourself to just pieces of OSCAL, or could it be bigger things, OSCAL documents, not just fragments of documents, or multiple documents, or metadata that is not in OSCAL that's required in order to process the OSCAL kinds of things. Is that important to say or not?
Well, I don't think the wording limits us to OSCAL fragments. It doesn't say excluding or exclusively. It says just including.
Okay.
And let's see, fragments. So I can't remember if you've been in any recent meetings where Jen and or Michaela have discussed the need for support for fragments because OSCAL documents are the size of OSCAL documents. So I remember correctly, Michaela actually brought it up, was the one to raise the need in maybe 2 meetings ago, if I remember correctly.
Okay, I understand that. I just didn't want you to limit yourself to saying we can only do fragments and that's all we're going to do. That's all.
Yeah. I think Jen was agreeing with you earlier on that point. Bringing it back to that, Jen, did the changes we just went through leave the door open for that now? So I don't need to put like a scope may increase section?
I mean, if we look at the first sentence, like you were saying, including support for OSCAL fragments, I do think it leaves the door open because it might be like your first instinct or kind of like the de facto thought would be we support the full documents.
Yeah.
And I think just based on like what I was reading in the community issues in OSCAL for the Exchange API, there was a few issues there. A lot of people were asking for like subsets because passing the full documents isn't realistic in every case.
Yeah. Okay. So I think when I opened up this is what I remember that I was supposed to do and I didn't do. I think we've covered that now. Anybody have any additional feedback on the document or suggestions or?
I do see a stray cloud events in number 1 under deliverables. I didn't know if you were keeping that on purpose.
Could be.
Okay.
Maybe I should say.
Okay, yeah. Because I do think it's important to bring it forth as an option for an implementation detail, given that cloud events is a CNCF project.
Yeah. Okay. So, I think we had discussed including and then not including anything in here about collaboration with, what's the name of that? Other cloud native project that exchanges metrics data.
Open telemetry.
Yes, that one. I think we talked about doing it and then we decided against it. Yes? Or is that a hanging Chad?
I think it's hanging. I don't know that. I do remember in our previous meetings with Michaela, we talked about it as a point of research in the group, but I didn't think it would actually be part of the charter.
Okay. All right. So maybe we leave it out for here. Okay. So I would say just because we don't put something in the, let's see, maybe I'll say it a different way. We can talk about, I don't see why we couldn't raise things, talk about things verbally when we're presenting to tag security about this, that we don't include in the proposal. So we could have that conversation with them, and they're like, yeah, you should probably add that in, or yeah, I think you're right to leave that out. So I think we can express these things verbally in the presentation, and they can guide us. All right. I guess in that case, I will, unless there's any objections, I'm going to update this stuff and put in for a time slot to present to them. And when I say present to them, it doesn't, like, I don't feel like I need to be the only speaker. I can help MC walk things through, and you guys should be there and chime in as you see fit. In that case, if you guys have open floor things you would like to discuss in the background, I can be throwing this into the, updating the GitHub issue.
I did want to ask, now that we kind of have a final version, did you want to, I'm air quoting final, I promise. Did you want to drop it into the Slack for anyone who couldn't attend, maybe to get some input there before updating the GitHub? Well, maybe some async.
I mean, I asked for that last meeting. Yeah. In the group as well. So, and it's not like we can't update afterwards. I'm sure there will be updates afterwards. So, maybe I will tell people that I have done this in the channel, and still welcome events. Hey, I've done this. It doesn't mean feedback's not welcome. Feel free to, throw some feedback in there, and we can update as needed.
Yeah. And they could always comment on the GitHub issue.
Yep. Let's see. So, anybody have anything else to discuss? No? Well, in that case, no need to sit around and stare at me. I can, instead of doing this in the background, I can just do it offline. Short and sweet.
Yep. All right.
See you guys later.
Thank you.
Bye.